Edit, thanks, everyone. This weekend, I was in one of my best friend's weddings. The bride, my friend, is diabetic and forgot her insulin when we went to the church, so technically, diabetes is the villain of this story. No problem. I volunteered to go back to her house to pick it up. I like a mission. Me against diabetes. After a morning of bridal stuff, my adrenal glands were more than happy to kick some dust off. The bride says the back door is unlocked, so I dash to her house, drifting the corners, in my mind, finding the apex in the road. The back door is not unlocked. No doors are opened, but I am not taking the L on this. All of us bridesmaids had gotten ready at her house earlier, and one of the other bridesmaids was leaning out her window on the second floor smoking. I gaze up at her window, praying that it's still unlocked. I know this house. I went to high school with the bride, snuck out of that window onto the roof, and clambered down the tree beside the house many times. Only this time, I am in a strapless, tight, mermaid-style dress. Driving a stick in this constricting skirt was challenge enough. There is no way on God's green earth that I can climb a tree. It's barely above freezing, but this is a DEFCON 2 situation. I'm in the backyard, and there is only one house that can see me. I accept the crazy low odds that the grandparents that live next door will notice me. Decidedly incorrect assumption because apparently, Gramps has assigned himself the position of Overwatch. I kick off my heels, sling off my jacket, it's barely above freezing, and toss the Morticia Adams-style bridesmaid dress over the fence. I pat my old friend, the tree, and begin to climb. I'm sure I sloth climbed it, but the adrenaline pulsing through my veins has me convinced that I ninja warriored that shit. The window is unlocked //. Hurrah //. Once I open it, I ungracefully fall into the room from the roof. I don't care because the distinctly male movie announcer voice in my head is sexily broadcasting the trailer for the movie I'm acting out. The crowd cheers when my icicle toes hit the hardwood floors. I'm killing it. The room looks like a girl bomb exploded. Curlers, hairdryers, makeup bags and clothes cover every inch of the carpet. I super kung fu hop over the piles to the dresser where she said her insulin bag would be. It's not there. I rifle through the piles, shaking like a scared dog from the cold. Nope. To the bathroom. Nope. A massive rock drops into my stomach when I can't find her insulin. The clock is ticking. I launch down the stairs, 2 at a time, and run through the house as my eyes scan every surface. I find it on the kitchen counter, a full floor away from where she thought she left it. Booyah! I'm back in the game. I shotgun pump my arm and grab the bag. I make sure I can lock the kitchen door from the inside. I mentally check, yep, I left all of my stuff outside. I step into the garage, shutting the door behind me. As I'm jiggling the locked doorknob, I hear the whoop whoop of a police car. I slowly turn and do some wee half raise of my hands. There are two cops in the driveway. All official and stern looking. In a split second, I flash on images. I'm in the back of the police car, handcuffed, search warrants are getting issued. I see the courtroom, a stern judge and an unforgiving jury. In a moment of catastrophic cognitive dissonance, I swear I heard my brain misfire. The only thing that zaps me back to reality, is that I kid you not, my boobs are 2 frozen ice cones. I'm going to have the pleasure of explaining this shitshow to the officers while wearing nothing but my fancy thong and lacy, strapless bra because genius me didn't want panty lines. And my hot ass guy will be wearing a tux to the wedding. Nuff said. I could have vaporized on the spot from the humiliation as the officers approach me. I don't even know what I said. I virtually shoved the bag of insulin at the older cop and vomited out the preposterous details of this Texas-sized oof that landed me in my skivvies, coming out of a house that I technically broke into. They try to keep a straight face, but then I start to laugh. It begins as a small embarrassed chuckle, but then it takes on a life of its own, commandeering all of my self-control and flinging it into the icy wind with the ashes of my dignity. I howl. Tears run down my face and I shoot strangled, inhuman sounds at them. I can make no sound other than drawn-out vowels. God, it's embarrassing. The cops are trying to ask me questions, and instead, they get Muttley the dog. All I can do is wheeze, or tear and shake from the cold. Finally, I beg them to let me put my clothes on. One gallantly swings his arm to tell me to proceed to the backyard to recover my assortment of clothing cringingly clinging to the fence. They are gentlemen about it as I jump and shimmy into this hell contraction of a bridesmaid's dress. They ask me if there is anyone that I can call from the family to confirm the story. I call the bride. She doesn't pick up. I call the bride's mom. She doesn't pick up. I call the love of my life. He picks up on the first ring. God, I love that man. He doesn't know why I left the church but immediately goes into solve this shit fast mode. He gets the bride's dad. It gets sorted. My guy is waiting in the parking lot when I pull up. Panic rolls across his face when he sees me, thinking I have been crying. I laugh the rest of my makeup off with him when I tell him the story. We're getting married soon, and I think the bride should have to perform a commensurate task to climbing a tree in freezing weather in her underwear. I'm definitely taking suggestions. This all happened in a decently small town. This story has ripped through the gossip mill like Taco Bell through the colon. My oldest brother is apparently friends with the young cop that I could never make myself look in the eye. Yep, never living this down, and I'm never more grateful to have moved away. Also, LPT, I'm an idiot, so maybe you all know this, but don't hand your phone to the police. Put the call on speaker or show the text from your hand. Do not physically place your property in the care of the police. Advice from a law student who was more than happy to lecture me for 20 minutes at the reception. Too long didn't read, title says it all. Insulin is a life-saving drug, and at least for one day, I kicked diabetes ass. You gotta do what you gotta do, even if it means being a streaking Tarzan cat burglar. Edit, thanks, everyone. It's been a fantastic ride. Quick link to the r/Ask Legal expert review of whether you should not hand your phone to the police, and no, I will not send pics. I'm sure the officers were playing the age-old game of what drugs is this person on. When they saw you, adrenaline is powerful stuff. If the bride becomes your maid of honor, then you know just what is coming in her speech. As someone with type 1 diabetes and is dependent on insulin, not all heroes wear capes, some wear fancy underpants. Bless you, op. Edit, me can't spell. I think everyone needs a friend who is willing to climb a tree in their underwear and risk being arrested for you. Thank you for this terrific story, made my day. Honestly, I'm still laughing, and all the comments are adding to the vibe. Happy Cake Day. Today I fucked up by taking LSD and pretending to be French for 10 months. Throwaway for reasons. Too long didn't read, at the bottom. So this was more of a few that happened quite a while ago which only just caught up to me a few weeks ago, so also not today. About 11 months ago I moved into a new house as a temporary sort of thing until I could get the money together to sort something out properly. I was hoping to have already moved out by this point. On my second day after I'd finished unpacking, I decided to break the house in with a nice acid trip. I'd brought some with me that I'd recently bought but not had the chance to use yet. Things were going well with the trip, but then it seemed to be getting really intense and I quickly realized that the tabs were much stronger than I had been told they were, and I thought being locked up in the unfamiliar house wasn't helping me relax. So I figured the best thing to do to relax would be to go for a stroll because I was starting to get pretty overwhelmed at that point. So I left the house to start my walk and my next door neighbor happened to be just arriving at the same time. It's a street of tightly packed terraced houses and next door's door is about 1 meter away from mine. I'd not met anybody on my street yet and didn't realize this was a friendly tight-knit community where people talk to each other. She said something along the lines of hello, nice to meet you, my name's, her name, are you new to the area? So basically I do this thing sometimes when people try to sell me things on the street etc. where I pretend I can't speak English. I remember a few words from my GCSE French so I just say some nonsense sentences and then people usually leave me alone. In the state I was in, this conversation seemed like it would be way too intense for me, and French just sort of came to me as my default response to the situation. My exact words were "Je voudrais une boulangerie," one of my favorite lines to use, and I shrugged my shoulders a bit with a weak smile. She pretty much just left me to it after that, and I got on my way. I did my walk and got home about 2 hours later. I was tripping majorly, so the walk ended up taking a lot longer than it needed to. When I got home though, my next door neighbor was stood in her doorway talking to another neighbor who was stood outside. I tried to keep my head down because I couldn't handle any more human interaction, but she waved at me and said bonjour, so I instinctively returned the bonjour and got inside my house as fast as possible. When I got in, I started freaking out straight away because I realized that I'd just become French, and now 2 of the neighbors think I can't speak any English. The next day when I woke up, I realized the best thing I could do, as an Englishman, was just live with the lie for the rest of my short stay in this house to avoid the excruciating embarrassment of having pretended to be French for seemingly no reason. Fast forward 10 months, I still live here, and at this point I'm in deep. My life on this street is a web of lies. I've perfected my French accent, and over the course of 10 months French me has learnt a decent amount of English, so he can hold disjointed conversation. I'd gotten to know the neighbors pretty well, and I was the nice quirky French guy on the street. I didn't let the lie slip ever, because every day and every conversation I had just meant that it would be even worse if anyone ever discovered I wasn't French. If I had friends come over, I don't have many, so it wasn't too bad. They knew to never speak to the neighbors because of my strange situation. Most of them found it amusing, at least. Things were going okay, and I wasn't too worried about being exposed anymore because I'd gotten so used to it. I'm not home that much, and when I am, I rarely leave the house for any reason, so I only had to do it for maybe 5 minutes a day when I was out on my street. If anything, it was a nice way to spice up my day when I got to take on my French persona. French me somehow had much better social skills than the real me, even if his English was a bit limited. But then there was the day it all came crashing down. I was walking to my car and saw one of the neighbors coming towards me from the opposite direction with someone else next to her I didn't recognize. She stopped to say hi, as she normally does, and then she says to her friend, "This is F7TJ78, the guy I was telling you about. You might be able to see where this is going." Her friend hits me with a question in French that I didn't understand a word of, and I knew he was actually French straight away because his accent was way better than mine. I didn't know what to do, and I just froze. Every second that went past just made it so much more painful, and after way too long of a pause I just decided I had to come clean. I told her I wasn't actually French and couldn't speak French, and then I tried to play it off like some kind of practical joke I'd been doing on everyone. Nobody was buying that. I fast walked straight to my car and then let the embarrassment just swallow me for a while. I haven't spoken to any of my neighbors since, some of which I'd struck up a friendly relationship with over those 10 months. I make sure nobody is around now whenever I leave the house, and I do a loop around the block in my car if any of my neighbors are walking down the street when I get home, so that I never come into contact with them. Every time I think about the day I was discovered, the embarrassment physically hurts me. Too long didn't read, pretended to be French to avoid human interaction on LSD, lived a lie for 10 months and got exposed by a Frenchman. Edit: I didn't think this post was going to catch much attention, and I'm praying none of my neighbors use Reddit and see this and decide to come over to talk to me about all this. Some people seem to have a hard time believing that I thought keeping it going for 10 months would actually be a good idea. I'd like to remind people that when I made the decision to keep it up, this was supposed to be a very temporary living situation for me. 10 months. I don't think even Potato Guy had that kind of commitment. The next day when I woke up, I realized the best thing I could do, as an Englishman, was just live with the lie for the rest of my short stay in this house. /says bonjour once. I have to live with this lie or my life will end. I knew he was actually French because accent was way better than mine. Or he's just been in this game longer than you can imagine. Well, actually yes, everyone in France has been pretending to understand and speak French for the past 1000 years, please send help. Burn everything, start a new life, but this time be German. Today I fucked up by making my boyfriend a Tinder account. Okay, so necessary, this actually happened in the last couple of weeks. Basically my boyfriend suffers from pretty low self-esteem, like it's not like he's too bothered about his looks, but he rates himself a 5 out of 10 at best. Obviously I think he's gorgeous and handsome, but even though I've been saying this for years, he does not believe me. So, for some stupid reason, I decided to show him that other girls would find him attractive by making him a Tinder account. I set him up an account, make him a bio and just start swiping right. After a day he got around a dozen matches on Tinder, and after I showed this to him, I saw how he immediately became more confident and thanked me for the whole gesture. Cue my surprise when a couple of days later I checked the Tinder account I had basically forgotten after 24 hours, and I could see lots of messages sent to lots of the girls my BF had matched with. I confronted him, and he denied it, but I mean these messages even included promises to meet each other. Obviously, we broke up, and out of curiosity I checked the Tinder account again after a week, and this breakup has clearly not slowed him down one bit. So now the Tinder I made for him not only broke us up, but is now helping him navigate his newly single life. Lol. Too long didn't read, made a Tinder account for my BF to prove that he is attractive, and he ended up ditching me for one of the girls he matched with. Edit, wow, I did not expect this to blow up. Thank you so much for the gold and silver and for your kind words. It honestly touches me how absolutely lovely thousands of strangers can be. Also, if anyone needs help with their Tinder, lol, because I'm apparently pretty good at it. This is like something I'd expect to see on r/green text. Be me, dating cute guy. He's got poor self-esteem, doesn't think he's cute. Make him a Tinder. Find out he likes Tinder more than he likes me. Feel Spartman. JPEG. I get no love on Tinder, maybe you can help make my profile too. You should offer a service as a Tinder consultant to help guys hook up. 10 matches is an incredible number, you must be really skilled. Congratulations, you played yourself. Edit, okay, this is epic. r/award speech edits. A couple months from now your ex-BF will be posting a "today I fucked up" like. My girlfriend made a Tinder profile for me to help improve my low self-esteem. Long story short, it worked. I matched with a lot of girls and started to think I was actually too good for her. I was wrong. It turns out I matched with a bunch of bots, chicks who were only trying to get me to follow them on Instagram, and girls that looked absolutely nothing like their pictures. I ended up going on one date with a girl that seemed kind of nice, but she ghosted me. I'm starting to think I'll never find someone as great as my ex. Losing a good relationship, the abyss of swiping, is the real fuck up here. Edit, wow, my first gold ex too. Thanks.